Sometimes these things happen in MMA.
What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to These Things Happen in MMA. The purpose of this channel is to highlight moments and events that have made mixed martial arts into what it is today. Don't forget to follow on social media for occasional giveaways, and I'm proud to announce Full Contact Fighter as an official sponsor of the channel. Established in 1997, Full Contact Fighter is the sport's longest-standing media outlet and lifestyle apparel line, with their clothing appearing on many of MMA's earliest legends. If you'd like to learn more about the company, visit FullContactFighter.com, where you can also own a piece of mixed martial arts history. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how two women collided and changed the landscape of mixed martial arts forever. This is the story of Jennifer Howe versus Judy Neff in the first women's super fight. In the 90s, women's mixed martial arts in North America was virtually non-existent, with most fights taking place overseas in Japan. However, on March 28, 1997, the first women's bout in the United States took place between Becky Levi and Betty Fagan in the IFC.
Gassaway has thrown in the towel. Wes Gassaway in the corner has thrown in the towel from Betty Fagan. So our winner is Becky Levi.
The following year, manager and promoter Monty Cox was approached about holding a women's bout in one of his Extreme Challenge events. I went out to Utah. I asked, what do we have for local fighters? And they said Griffin Reynaud is the best fighter and trained at the best camp. I hooked up with him, and the first thing he asked is, do you do girl fights? I said, I haven't yet, but I would. He said, I got a girl, Jennifer Howe. She is something else. I said, I'll find an opponent. Fighting out of Utah, Jennifer Howe would make her MMA debut against Terry Lekomsky, an 0-1 California native who was fresh off a loss to Becky Levi.
My name is Jennifer Howe. I'm fighting in tonight's women's bout. My strengths are jiu-jitsu. What I have to do to win is get her to the ground.
The contest took place on November 21st, 1998, and was held at Extreme Challenge 22. As soon as the fight started, Lekomsky charged forward and connected with multiple punches, although Howe quickly tied up her opponent and landed hard strikes in the clinch. Moments later, Howe scored a takedown and easily transitioned to top position during the scramble. While in mount, Howe landed over 30 unanswered strikes before sinking in a rear naked choke that ended the fight at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. After a successful debut, Howe booked her next match 3 months later with Promotion Super Brawl against 1-0 German fighter Manuela Wilp. The contest took place on February 2, 1999. It was held at Super Brawl 11. Within the first 30 seconds, Howe connected with multiple strikes, and it was clear right away that Wilp wasn't as experienced on the feet. Howe then used a headlock to drag Wilp to the mat and transitioned in the mount with ease. Moments later, Howe locked in an armbar and had her opponent in serious trouble. However, Wilp showcased her toughness and refused to tap as the submission attempt lasted over 2 minutes. Unable to finish with the armbar, Howe transitioned to the back where she sunk in a rear naked choke and immediately forced the tap at 3 minutes and 36 seconds.
There's the choke and there's the tap. Wow.
The official time, 3 minutes, 36 seconds. Your winner by rear choke submission, Jennifer Howe.
3 months later, Howe booked her next fight at another Extreme Challenge event and faced a debuting fighter named Nicole Anaya. The contest took place on May 15, 1999 and was held at Extreme Challenge 24. When the fight started, the two women clashed right away as Howe landed multiple right hands and easily gained mount with the takedown. Howe then proceeded to batter her opponent with solid ground and pound for over 2 minutes before transitioning to Anaya's back. Moments later, Howe once again sunk in a rear naked choke that ended the contest at 2 minutes and 45 seconds as she improved to 3-0 in just 6 months.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 2:45 of the first round, the winner from Salt Lake City, Utah, Jennifer Howe.
After winning her first 2 fights, Idaho native Judy Neff landed herself a spot in the first ever women's bout with Promotion Hook and Shoot against a debuting fighter named Jessica Ross. The contest took place on March 10, 2001 and was held at Hook and Shoot Quake. Within the first few seconds, Neff connected with several right hands before easily taking Ross to the ground. After remaining in her opponent's guard for over a minute, Neff landed solid ground strikes until allowing Ross back to her feet. Moments later, Neff connected with 3 overhand rights that dropped Ross and ended the contest at 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
So a TKO ref stoppage for Judy Neff. We've just witnessed history. First ever women's fight in Hook and Shoot.
Neff will go on to win her next 2 fights in the IFC before returning to Hook and Shoot undefeated at 5-0. Judy's next opponent will be Shelby Walker, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt training under Royce Gracie, who is making her mixed martial arts debut. Early in the sport, it was often difficult for women to secure an opponent due to lack of available competition, and as such, Neff took the fight just 8 days after winning in the IFC.
I've been pretty successful at getting a lot of fights myself. We put a lot of effort into getting those fights. We have to do a lot of calling and writing and emailing, but we finally get the ones we want. But it's kind of tough with a lot of girls, so a lot of them just want to fight particular people. They don't want to fight just anybody, and some of them want way too much money. And just like when other women's sports, when they start coming out, you know, you really can't expect too much as far as money and pay. You really got to just take what you can get and just hope to get fights to start.
The contest took place on November 17, 2001 and was held at Hook and Shoot Kings. Right away, Neff connected with a strong right hand and followed up with a powerful takedown. Before long, Neff was in mount raining down blows on her opponent, and moments later she applied an armbar that ended the fight in just 40 seconds, earning her 6th win in the span of a year and a half.
Hits forward, and there's the tap. That big right started it all.
Meanwhile, Jennifer Howe took on Monty Cox as her manager, and the two went on a mission to fight the best girls they could possibly find. After improving her record to 6-0 and winning a title in Extreme Challenge, Howe would face 3-1 Angela the Rebel Rastad. The contest took place on March 16, 2002, and was held at Extreme Challenge 47. The fight started with a short filling out process followed by numerous exchanges, and eventually Howe connected cleanly with a hard left hand that dropped Rastad. The fight returned standing moments later, and Howe would land a flurry of strikes in the final seconds of the round. In the second, Rastad found success with knees in the clinch and nearly landed a head kick, although Howe easily evaded the heavy strikes and continued to outclass her opponent on the feet. The third round was much more competitive, as Angela once again utilized the clinch and scored with leg kicks. However, Jennifer displayed her superior striking and managed to stay in control of the contest. When the fight was over, Howe received a unanimous decision and retained her Extreme Challenge title. With Jennifer Howe now standing at 7-0 and Judy Neff holding a record of 6-0, it seemed inevitable that the two undefeated fighters would face off. The matchup was booked to headline the first ever all-women's card at Hook and Shoot Revolution in April of 2002. However, prior to the event, Jennifer tore her ACL and withdrew from the contest. I tore it before I went to Grappler's Quest, then at Grappler's Quest I tweaked it really bad. It was completely gone by the time I fought Angela Rastad. I didn't realize I tore it. We were set up to fight Hook and Shoot, and I didn't mind fighting Angela Rastad with the torn ACL, but I wasn't going to fight Judy with the torn ACL. Unfortunately, later that same year, Neff tore her ACL as well, which postponed the matchup even longer. It was unfortunate I trained so hard and had the injury. It just came out of nowhere. It was really bad. It's not like I hurt it and was able to work on it for a little while. I couldn't walk. After recovering from ACL surgery, Jennifer Howe defeated Sarah Patterson before defending her Extreme Challenge title against Amanda Buckner. Fighting out of Colorado, Buckner was 2-0 in her mixed martial arts career, and even held a win over Judy Neff in a Grappler's Quest competition. The contest took place on February 23, 2003 at Extreme Challenge 50, with current UFC welterweight champion Matt Hughes serving as a special guest referee. Howe started the fight by connecting with a nice combination, although seconds later, Buckner landed a hard right hand of her own. After the exchange, Buckner continued to press the action and connected with another right hand that sent Howe flying into the ropes. Knowing her opponent was compromised, Buckner charged forward with multiple combinations. However, the champion showed her toughness and slowly began mounting a comeback. Moments later, Howe landed a straight punch that rocked Buckner, and she continued to swing until Amanda toppled to the canvas at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. With the victory secured, Howe once again defended her Extreme Challenge title in her toughest fight yet. 3 months later, she'd fight for another title against an up-and-coming Tara La Rosa in a co-promotion between Hook and Shoot and Absolute Fighting Championship. Fighting out of New Jersey, La Rosa started her career with 3 impressive first-round finishes, and this was a huge opportunity as she was filling in as a last-minute replacement. The contest took place on May 24, 2003 at Hook and Shoot Absolute Fighting Championships 3 and featured Bruce Buffer serving as the ring announcer. The fight started with a long filling out process until La Rosa landed a clean leg kick followed by a fast counter as Howe rushed in. La Rosa maintained her distance before exploding with a hard combination that sent Howe backpedaling. However, Jennifer maintained her composure, and moments later she landed a quick right hand that dropped Tara. Howe continued the pressure and dropped La Rosa for a second time with a fast left hook. Tara once again stood up but appeared to be out on her feet, and she'd get dropped for a third time before the fight was stopped. The contest ended at just 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and with the victory, Howe received Hook and Shoot's 125-pound women's title.
We have a knockout for the winner, Jennifer Howe!
While Jennifer Howe further cemented her status as a top women's fighter, Judy Neff was on the mend and made a full recovery from ACL surgery. After nearly 2 years, the matchup was bigger than ever, and the stakes were even higher as they'd be competing for the women's middleweight title in the IFC.
Tonight, the first ever world female title. This is it. 2 undefeated ladies. Powerhouse Judy Neff versus slick as ice Jennifer Howe to determine exactly who is the #1 female fighter on the planet. Jeff, unbelievable card tonight.
The super fight finally materialized on October 25, 2003, and the bout was the co-main event at IFC Battleground Boise. When the contest started, Howe landed a series of strikes as Neff showcased her strength inside the clinch with multiple knees, followed by a powerful right hand on the break. Neff again closed the distance and landed vicious knees while Howe tried to counter with a barrage of strikes. However, Judy displayed her superior wrestling and drove Jennifer into the canvas. Eventually, Neff attempted a leg lock that was unsuccessful, and she unloaded with multiple strikes in the clinch as Howe tried to separate. After the exchange, Neff's cardio was noticeably fading, and Howe swung the momentum by landing on the feet while avoiding a huge takedown. Another combination prompted a second takedown attempt by Neff. However, as she tried to advance, Howe reversed the position and wound up in mount. Moments later, Howe unleashed a barrage of strikes followed by a hard elbow that caused Neff to tap at 4 minutes and 24 seconds.
She's tapping the
She's
fence.
tapping, and that's going to do it.
It's over. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a World Women's Undisputed Champion.
With the victory over Judy Neff complete, Jennifer Howe defeated her biggest rival and was now viewed as the best pound-for-pound women's fighter in the sport. After losing the contest, Neff retired from fighting with an overall record of 6-1, while Howe returned to action nearly a year later. Howe would fight Linda Landerak in Alaska Fighting Championship's inaugural event, where she received a second-round finish and extended her record to 12-0. Howe then faced Roxanne Modafferi in the co-main event at Hookashoe Evolution 2 for the promotion's second-ever all-women's card. In a shocking upset, Modafferi would grind out a unanimous decision and give Jennifer Howe her first loss in mixed martial arts. The defeat set up a rematch 4 months later at IFC Eve of Destruction, with Howe defending her title in the card's main event.
We have an incredible card. On the women's card, Big Papa, we have Roxanne Modafferi challenging IFC middleweight champion of the world and local favorite Jennifer Howe.
Yeah, you're talking about a fight that is absolutely unbelievable. Up until a point, Jennifer Howe was known as the greatest fighter on the face of the earth until one girl beat her. Who is that girl? That girl just happens to be Roxanne Modafferi. She's going to be here challenging Jennifer Howe for the IFC Women's World title.
Once again, Modafferi's jiu-jitsu proved to be the X factor as she defeated Howe with the triangle choke in the 3rd round and became the new women's middleweight champion of the IFC. 3 months later, Howe picked up a 22nd victory over Jennifer Fields and retired from mixed martial arts with an overall record of 13-2. She currently resides in her home state of Utah with longtime boyfriend Jeremy Horn and works as the general manager at Jeremy Horn's Elite Performance. I didn't get fame, I didn't get fortune, I didn't get a legacy, but I've gotten a lot of personal growth out of the sport. I would have rather gone out on a tougher fight. It wasn't like I hit a point where I was like, this is my last fight. It was just everything had fallen through. I didn't really have time to train, I had all these injuries. I think I've gotten all I needed to out of the sport. It's time for me to move on. Both Jennifer Howe and Judy Neff are important pioneers for women's MMA, and they helped pave the way for the next generation of fighters. With their performances, they proved that female stars could exist in mixed martial arts, and without them there would be no Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg, or Ronda Rousey. So let us never forget Jennifer Howe versus Judy Neff in the first ever women's super fight in mixed martial arts history. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with the topic you'd like to hear me cover in a future episode. Again, don't forget to follow the channel on social media for occasional giveaways, and visit FullContactFighter.com to own a piece of mixed martial arts history. I'd also like to acknowledge Keith Mills and his book series A Declaration of Independence for providing most of the information used in this video. As always, thanks for watching and supporting my channel.
It took 2 years to put these women into the fighting cage to have them finally go at it to determine the best female fighter in mixed martial arts, Jennifer Howe and Judy Neff.
I tell you what, this fight has been talked about and talked about and talked about, like you said, for 2 years. And then somebody pulls an injury, and then Judy pulls an injury, and then Jennifer pulls an injury. Things just couldn't work out. Well, we finally got it to work right here at the IFC, and you just saw two of the best women, the pinnacle of women fighting in mixed martial arts. Go at it, and your winner, your undisputed women's world champion, Jennifer Howe.
Sometimes these things happen in MMA.